is, thank you. Very good. So I'm looking at a multiplication first. Let's say 53 on page 459, in which we have 3x squared plus 8x plus 5, everything divided by x squared plus 8x plus 7, and multiplied by x plus 7 over x squared plus 4. What would be the first step recommended here? Oh, everything. Everything has to be completely factored, yes. So let's take 3x squared plus 8x plus 5 on the side and get the factor form.
Oh, not that way, just my bad, I didn't see the word.
It's okay. It's just different from somebody else.
Okay.
Well, can I offer you some? Sure. Math is better now.
Everything's better with
Have
food.
something to. Okay, ready? Can anyone walk me through the first one? What will you do?
Oh, what's factor?
Yes,
So, you have to find a number that.
two numbers whose product is
15,
and whose sum is.
8,
Very good.
got 3 and 5.
Good. So then we have 3x squared plus 3x plus 5x plus 5. Do we agree with this? And now this.
3x times x plus 1. X plus 1.
Sign.
Plus 1.
So that's x plus 1 and 3x plus 5. Do we all agree with the first as being x plus 1 times 3x plus 5? Now, the other ones don't need this much work. X plus 7, first of all, is already factored. What about x squared plus 4? Can anyone say anything about x squared plus 4?
It's just x plus 2 squared.
That's a trinomial. It's the sum of
Square.
right. What do we know about the sum of squares? Not factorable. Sum of squares is not factorable. Nobody can factor x squared plus 4. Remember, if you want to solve the equation x squared plus 4 equals 0, you move forward, and this is what happens. Look. X squared plus 4 is not factorable. So, but x squared plus 8x plus 7 is. How?
X squared plus 1x plus
There is no need because the leading coefficient is 1. The product is 7, the sum is 8.
Oh, you mean the final answer?
No, this one. So what is x squared plus 8x plus 7? How do I factor that? We don't need to go through all this procedure if the leading coefficient is 1. It's way easier than that. We don't need all this. But if the leading coefficient is not 1, then I have no choice but go through all this.
I got x plus 1 times x plus 7.
Right, but you don't need a whole procedure. There is no need because the leading coefficient is 1. Good. So since this is never 0, look, a positive plus a positive cannot be 0. And you want to only give me how many restrictions? Because I have to write restrictions before I simplify. So you will say x not equal and x not equal. So what will you say?
Oh, what the restrictions are?
Yes.
-1 and -7.
Excellent. -1 and -7. Now, can we simplify anything? Can we get rid of anything?
Yeah,
X plus
7.
7.
Yes. Please write 1 and then
X plus 1.
Oh, it's okay.
and this is 3x plus 5 over x squared plus 4, assuming these conditions are fulfilled. Is the product of these two rational expressions clear? Okay, we also want to look at the division, correct? Okay. Here's any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay. Let's look at a division. Division. Okay, let's do 48 on the same page. 459. 36n squared minus 64 divided by 3n squared plus 10n plus 8, and divide that by 3n squared minus 13n plus 12, everything over n squared minus 5n minus 14. There's a lot of work here. So let's take each polynomial aside and factor it completely. Can anyone give us anything, any of this?
Is it possible that one of them is a factor?
It is possible. It's very possible. So let's talk about 36n squared minus 64. That's our first polynomial. Can anyone say anything about this one?
Is it like the last one? It was like x squared minus 4.
Squared minus. Which one?
Oh, I worked on the previous problem. That x squared plus 1 so you can't factor it.
But this is a difference.
Oh,
Only the sum of squares is not factorable. So 36n squared minus 64 is a binomial. It's in descending order, greatest common factor.
33.
I would say
No, it's not. It's 6.
let's do it in 2 steps. I'm sorry.
Greatest common factor for it.
That's what I think. So 9n squared and minus 16. Perfect. And then 4 outside. What do we do with 9n squared minus 16?
Take the square root.
No, I have to factor. This is not an equation. If it were an equation, yes, I would have moved the free term to the other side, and then yes. I have to remember how to factor 9n squared minus 16. How do we factor that? How do we factor the difference of squares? Yes?
Minus 4
Yes?
plus 3n plus 4
Times.
times.
Correct. Very good. 3n plus 4, 3n minus 4. So we finished the first one. Let's move on to 3n squared plus 10n plus 8. What do we do with this one?
Oh, I factored out the denominators already.
Okay,
I got u plus 2 and 3u plus 4.
n plus 2 and 3n plus
Or,
4.
Yeah, it's n.
That's okay. I'm sorry. It's my handwriting. So n times 3n. Correct. 4 plus 6. Correct. 2 times 4, 8. Correct.
And then for the other denominator, I had n minus 7, n plus 2.
Yes, indeed, n squared minus 5n minus 14 is n minus 7 and n plus 2. That's correct. And now we have the top,
That was just 1.
3n squared minus 13n plus 12. We are working on 3n squared minus 13n plus 12. And then we go back to 7.4. The last problem was 44. What are we looking for?
Numbers that will
Yes?
have a sum of 36,
Product.
product of 36,
Yes.
and a sum of negative 13.
Excellent. That's exactly it. Can we find two numbers whose product is 36 and whose sum is negative 13? Since the product is positive, both numbers have to have the same sign. Since their sum is negative, then both numbers have to be
Negative 9, negative 4.
excellent. Indeed, negative 9 and negative 4. That's how you have to think. Look at the product, it has a positive sign, they have to have the same sign, and then you look at the sum, since the sum is negative, they have to be negative. Okay, can anyone dictate the next step? It's 3n squared,
Minus
Yes?
14.
minus 9n, very good, and plus 12. What happens next?
Pull up the greatest factor.
Which is,
N,
very good, what is left in parentheses?
3n plus minus 4.
Good. What has to come up from the other two?
3n minus 4
Good. And now what goes in front?
plus 3.
Careful.
Oh, minus.
Good. So then 3n minus 4 times n minus 3. After all this work now, I'm ready to put everything together. So I will write that the division equals. The top was 4 times 3n plus 4 times 3n minus 4. The denominator, we came up with n minus 7 times 3n plus 4. Now this is divided still. The top is this, 3n minus 4, n minus 3, and you gave me the denominator a long time ago, n minus 7, n plus 2. At this point in time, I have to state restrictions. 1, 2, 3. No, 1, 2, 3. And then I will change it into a product before I simplify. So n not equals, and not equals.
N equals 7.
Correct?
4, 3.
Negative 4. Yes, we have to move it to the other side, and
Negative.
negative 2. Now I can simplify the fraction itself. I cannot simplify across in a division. But the fraction itself, after I state restrictions, I can. I am allowed to simplify. So therefore, the next step is 4, 3n minus 4, everything over n minus 7. Now I change it into a product, n minus 7 times n plus 2 over 3n minus 4 times n minus 3. Now I have two more factors that are in the denominator that I did not have before. Now I have to state two more restrictions. And then I'm ready to simplify. So what are those restrictions that I need to simplify? That I have to state first.
N can be 3.
Very good.
Or 4
Over.
over 3.
Yes. Okay, now what can I get rid of? It has to be factors from the top with factors from the bottom.
3n minus 4.
Yes. 3n minus 4 goes away. Please write 1,
N minus 7.
and n minus 7 will go away. And the simplified form, assuming all these restrictions are fulfilled, the simplified form is 4 quantity n plus 2 over n minus 3. It's a lot of work. It's not very difficult, but it's tedious.
Are you allowed to distribute?
I won't, but I'm allowed to. Sure, I can write 4n plus 8.
So with our final exam or something like that, we had our final exam, will you be like combining multiple methods and all that all into the same problem? Like this includes factoring and
Of course, it includes a
other
lot.
things.
Anybody else hear that?
Yeah, you did too.
Okay. I thought the same thing. That was my head. Yes, but this one has entire chapter 6. That's why we couldn't even discuss this before we reviewed the entire chapter 6.
Yeah.
Yes, but we will review for the final exam. So our last test is a week from Thursday, right? I will post homework for you. I'm sorry, I was at the conference this weekend. I didn't manage to do it
Our next test is a week from Thursday.
on the 30th.
It's not next Tuesday? I mean,
No,
yeah.
that's a review day.
Oh, we're not reviewing today?
I have to finish first,
Oh.
and then we'll start reviewing.
I thought we finished.
No, we have to get to 7.7. This is 7.4.
Okay.
The last thing we did last time. Okay, so last problem was 44 on page 472 last time, and I'd like to continue with other problems, like, let's say 47. On page 472. Y minus 1 divided by 2y plus 3 plus 3 divided by 2y plus 3 squared. This is a totally different situation, right? Previous ones that we looked at were multiplication and division. But now we are interested in, or we want to add these two rational expressions. And they do not have the same denominator. So I have to find the least common denominator. First, I have to state one restriction, which is y does not equal. Excellent. Thank you. And now I have to find the LCD. I look at these two denominators and I ask myself, since I stated one restriction, the answer is obvious, how many different factors I see here? How many different factors I see in the denominator? I only stated one restriction, so how many different factors I have? Of course, just one, right? One. I don't have more than one. Now, the question is, what power should I choose for the least common denominator? So the power here is what?
1.
1. The power here is 2. I must choose the highest. I'm not adding them. Which is the highest? It's a silly question, I know. Which number is highest between 1 and 2? 2. Good. So now I'm asking myself, this was multiplied by what to get this? Exactly. So then the top needs a 2y plus 3. This quantity was multiplied by what to get this quantity? Exactly. You don't have to write anything, but to make a point is 1. Now, don't write the next step, because I will write it and then I will erase it. Okay? So if you write this, 2y plus 3, quantity y minus 1 plus 3, this step is correct. But if you continue doing this, then the whole thing collapses. Okay? Because this is what I'm afraid of. Is this allowed? Can you simplify 2y plus 3 with a 2y plus 3? No, because this is a sum of terms. So I don't want you to do this. In order to avoid that situation, in which instead of distributing, students or people may be tempted to simplify, I do this. And I recommend my method, but of course I accept any. So I distribute up here and write the answer already. Y times 2y is 2y squared plus y times 3 is 3y minus 1 times 2y, 2y, negative 1 times 3, negative 3. And then plus 3. And now I'm hoping that no one will be tempted to simplify anything that cannot be simplified. But if you write them and then you further distribute, that's fine. But if you write them as quantities, but you start crossing with a denominator, that's a terrible mistake. So it's up to you. So here you can, once you distribute, you get this, right? Y times 2y, y times 3, negative 1 times 2y, negative 1 times 3. But if the look of this tempts you to simplify this with this, then don't do it. Am I making sense? Okay, so it's up to you. Of course, now I have to combine like terms, and these two go away. And then I have 2y squared and plus y over 2y plus 3 squared. I recommend, although it doesn't take us anywhere, I recommend pull out the y and completely simply factor the top. Although you cannot go any further, it is wise for the next class and the next step in math. It is good. It's a good idea to remember to factor the top at the end. So this addition simplifies to this, but in only one condition, with only one condition. When y does not equal negative 3/2 ever. Okay, let's do 56, and I would like you to work on 56. Once we understand 7.4, the last two sections will be a breeze. So if you are comfortable adding and subtracting rational expressions, you will have no difficulties in the last two sections. Okay, what did I say? I said
56.
Thank you. I know I talk too much. Page 473. 27. Y squared minus 81 plus 3 divided by 2, quantity y plus 9. Let's take 1 minute on this, please. Do your best. Can anyone tell us the first step?
At the top. Snip.
By what it does not have. I wouldn't say opposite, but the answer is by what it does not have. So for example, when I have 1/3 plus 1/2, the denominator is 6. 3 was multiplied by 2. 2 was multiplied by 3. Okay, what do we do with the first fraction? Can anyone dictate?
If multiplied by 2.
No, I want to factor the denominator. If I don't factor the denominator, I will not know what to do.
1y plus 9 times
Y plus 9, y minus 9. Very good. Plus 3 over 2, y plus 9. So which means you will give me two restrictions. And they are?
1 can't be 9, 1 can't be 9.
Excellent. So that's the condition of existence of everything we're doing right now in this problem. The fractions will not exist otherwise. Bless you. Now I have to find the least common denominator. Here's where I look. I look here and I count the different factors I see. I don't look at the top. The top doesn't mean anything to me right now. I only look at the bottom and say there are blah, different factors. What is the blah?
2 times y
2 times?
plus 9. Y plus 9.
What about the third factor? So how many different factors we see here? 1, 2, 3. All of them have to be in the least common denominator. Now I look. What does the top of the first fraction get? It gets a 2. What does the top of the second fraction get?
Y minus 9.
Excellent. What is the numerator now of the new fraction that we just started working on?
2
54 plus, that's okay, plus,
3y
yes,
minus 27.
very good. Do you all agree with 54 plus 3y minus 27? Okay, so now we combine like terms and we get 3y plus 27 over 2 y plus 9 y minus 9. At this point, I always look at the numerator and hope that I can factor it. Even if there is no hope further past that, I still hope to be able to factor it. Can I factor anything?
Wait, yes.
3. What is left in parentheses? Very good. Therefore, there is one more step. What is the next step? By?
5 plus 9.
Yes, please write 1 so you know what you did. So this is through 3 over 2 y minus 9. This is the simplified form, assuming that the restrictions are fulfilled. Okay, by the look on your faces, it's clear that we have to practice more. Agreed or disagreed? Yes? Should we choose other examples?
Yeah.
Very good. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let's look at 59. 5 divided by 4 and squared. I'm going to write x because it's difficult with my n. Sorry about that. Minus 12x plus 8 minus 3 over 3x squared minus 6x. I changed n into x for convenience. Okay. 3 minutes.